In this lesson, we are going to learn how to create a line chart. In our last lesson, we combined the 6 shade datasets and we created dataset called data. Now in this lesson, we are going to use a variable which is called b7_b. So this variable is based on a question which says, in this country, how would you rate economic conditions today? And the respondents could have selected one of these 4 options: poor, only fair, good, and excellent. Now first, let's look at the distribution of this variable. So inside data, we should have a b7_b, and here is the distribution of this variable. It looks like some respondents were not asked the question, 260 of them, and some respondents refused to answer the question, so that's 270 of them. Now we don't want these respondents in our analysis because their responses are not really helpful. So first thing, let's get rid of these respondents, and in our data set that we are going to use in this particular analysis, we only want those respondents who either selected poor, only fair, good, or excellent. So selecting respondents who provided an answer. So for that, what I'm going to do is create a new data frame called data line chart, and then we're going to use this assignment operator, and then we are going to use the combined data set, which is data, then use the pipe operator. Next we are going to use the filter function, and we are going to use this logic here. So b7_b, this has to be equals poor, or, so this is the or operator, b7_b has to be equal to good, or b7_b equals only fair, or finally b7_b equals excellent. So the respondents who provided either one of these 4 responses, we want to keep them in our data line chart data frame. So if I select this and click run, this will create a new data frame or data set which will have lower number of respondents than the combined data set. Next, what we want to do is create a binary variable showing respondents who either selected poor or something else. So let's call this new variable econ_poor, and we are going to create this econ_poor new variable inside this new data frame. So we are going to use this if else function just as before, and then we are going to type the name of the data frame, which is data line chart in this case, then use the $sign, then use b7_b. If this value is equal to poor, then this new variable that we are creating, econ poor, that's going to take a value of 100, otherwise it's going to take a value of 0. Now you could have made it 1, I am making it 100 because I want the y-axis in my chart in percentages and not in proportions. That's why I am coding this as 100. So I can just select this and click run. Then I can just look at the distribution of this new variable, and it looks like we have 14,342 respondents for whom this econ poor variable takes a value of 100, which is basically the same as the number of respondents who said poor. So the rest of the respondents, 56,253, they did not say that the economy was doing poor. Now let's create a table. So if we want to create a table, first we have to use the data frame, which is data line chart, and then we can use this pipe operator. After that, we are going to use this group by function, and inside that we are going to put the year. So this is the variable based on which we will be grouping our data, because we want to know the proportion of respondents each year saying that the economy was doing poor. That's what we want, and because we want the yearly numbers, that's why we are grouping by year. Next we use the pipe operator one more time, then we use the summarize function. Now inside summarize we have to give a name to this new variable, so let's call this poor, and then we can use equal. Next we are going to use the weighted mean function, and inside weighted mean we have to type in the name of the variable of interest which is econ underscore poor, and then we can use the weight variable, which is weight as we named it, so this one, and then I can just select this and click run. This basically gives us in each year what percentage of respondents were saying that the economy was doing poor. So now we have the table, and all we want to do is convert this into a line chart. You can keep it as a table if you want. So for example, you can call it table, and then you can run this code. This will create a table. For example, this will be our table. But in this case, creating table was not my goal, but I had to create a table because a table is needed to create the line chart that I want. So I'm just changing the comment from create a table to create a line chart, and all we are going to do is we are going to add some more code into this. But before we do that, we have to load the ggplot which is needed for the next part of the code to run. Now once we have loaded ggplot2, we can use the ggplot function, and inside that we have to use the aes function or aesthetics function as we have used before in one of our previous lectures. Then our y, or our outcome variable, which will be shown in the y-axis, is going to be this poor. So this poor is basically this poor. So the poor variable that we created inside our this new table. So poor is the outcome. That's why we are putting poor as the y. And then our x is going to be year, but we want to think of the year as a factor here and not a continuous variable. That's why we're putting a factor function in front of year. Next we have to type group equals 1. Next we are going to add some more things into our chart. So we are going to add plus. Next we are going to use this geom line function because we are going to create a line chart. That's why we are picking geom line, and we can select size equals 2, and let's stop for now and select this much and click run and see what happens. And there you go, we have our line chart. Now we are going to make it look slightly better than what it looks right now, and what I'm going to do is change the axis levels using the labs function. So I'm going to give my chart a title, and I'm going to call it percent of Americans saying current economic conditions are poor. So that would be my title. Next I am going to change the level of the y-axis. So y will be just percent, and for x-axis we don't really need a level because it's obvious that the x-axis is showing the different years. So that's all for the labs function. Lastly, I want to change the theme of this. I want to use the theme called theme BW, so it will create a black and white theme, and let's select this, click run. There you go. This chart looks way better than the one that we generated earlier. Now another thing that you can do is you can add dots to this chart. So the way to do that is you can just add geom point, and then you can give it a size. So maybe size equals 3, and let's see what happens. So now we added some dots into our chart. Actually you can make it bigger so that the dots become more visible. So maybe size equal 5. So this is how my chart looks, and this is how you can create a line chart quite easily in R.